Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the situation report or the summary for the day of 879 for the 21st of July. It's already actually 23rd of July for me. It's probably 22nd of July, just more or less going to be over in Ukraine. So this is a little bit belated because I was burned out. So I was very burnt out. So, but I feel that there is some very significant things that I want to talk about for the day of 21st. So I feel that it's more important to still cover this as a SITREP, and then so that we can. I believe maybe 22nd. I haven't seen the stuff happens on the 22nd. I believe there will be some other very important things happening. So I don't want to merge them into one SITREP. I think it could be very complicated. And yeah, I want to separate the mapping. So we got to the frontline changes report has already been went out like more than 12 hours ago as per this recording. So I can see the views is decent. So that's good. So and which means more people is being informed on the main channel. So this is on the war channel. So subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. So we're going to start off. There is a very interesting Ukrainian Mi-8 transport helicopter has been shot down by the Russian forces. So it's shot down by air defense system. We haven't seen helicopter shot downs for a long time. So this, I wonder what is the helicopter job is, because they have so little of them nowadays. It's a bit hard to tell what is the job nowadays. So we move on to the Kharkiv front, and also we should go to the most hottest front. Where the most major updates are, which is the New York front. So let's cover this one first. So as the frontline changes report have suggest, we have some massive changes around here. So there is all the intel drop at the Thorax direction and the New York sector. Both has been shocking. The Russian forces have made tremendous progress in this region. They attack at Druzhba, they continue to expand at Pivnishny, they expand at Zalizny, they probably more or less take Pivdeny, and they expand at New York, as well as heading towards Pantelemonivka. So this is generally how it looks like strategically. We go into details. So so over at the Druzhba, so let's see, so other than this little bit claim, this is very minimal. So let's not talk much about that. I think this part is the most interesting part. So this is based on Ukrainian mapping, and if based on this mapping, we actually should have declared Pivdeny captured. So Pivdeny is over here. So I want to declare Pivdeny captured. So I copy this. So Russian forces captured Pivdeny, and this 21st. So just want to declare this in front of you guys that Pivdeny is now captured, because there is no more settlements around here. Pivdeny is Pivdeny, this area. So basically, if you base on Ukrainian mapping, everything has been captured. And if you look at Russian mapping even have this additional buffer that's already all taken. So they have crossed the Zalizny River, linked up with the forces on the south. So everything has been captured. And of this area that the Russian captured, there is quite a number of very significant the geographical locations. The relief mapping is not very good. Okay, you can see that this is high ground all the way. These are all the high grounds at 200 meters, and there's a hilltop around here. You can call this a scout tower. Of course, the Russians have already two very attractive shapes around there, and with all these different positions, Russian forces have very good appreciation of the environment. They definitely would have placed camera or scouting recon on these places, with binoculars that are overlooking the entire front line. And the capturing of entire high ground would also mean that it would be very difficult for the Ukrainians to take back all these positions. And this is pretty steep. 200 meters. I think this might be 100 meters. So there is all this very steep hill around here. It's going to be very difficult Russian forces now taking all these positions means that they can now have this strong buffer. Bivdeni is now secured. They have secured Zalizny, and from this area here, the Russians are heading along the high ground towards this hill over here, where the Ukrainians have very strong position. The Russian forces also secure this entire salient that the Russians previously have attacked northward towards the high ground. And so with this configuration, the Ukrainian forces have have a very strategically or tactically difficult position. Some entrenchment here. I think the Ukrainian forces may not take a lot of effort to defend this place. Russian forces will storm in the residential area, and they will probably do some massive FAB strikes, artillery or TOS strikes or air strikes, making sure that this entire high ground is inhabitable. Then after that, they will probably able to land troops on top. They can even use helicopters to do this, which we of course haven't seen much of this kind of operation at all, due to the threat of air defense. Yeah, and from this area here as well, Russian forces can push like this and encircle this entire area and secure the entire residential area. But once you cross over to the other side, this is already thorax, so it will be pretty close to the beginning of the Battle of Thorax. So I think this is the Dacha region. Yeah, I think this is the Dacha region. So, and then there's the cemetery, and through this, the Russian forces will start the Battle of Thorax. And this could also be pretty fast, like the situation in the New York City, because there's not much defenses around here unless the Ukrainians want to defend the forest. Russian forces could do a very strong penetration into Thorax itself, and the entire front will just unravel. The front is already collapsing. It's already totally fractured, and if there is another penetration like what happened in the New York City, the entire front line here would just collapse. Like this is collapsing, but it will collapse. Like the entire front line, the Ukrainians may go into the mass withdrawal, because there's basically you can just look at how it looks like. And then there's this push around here, there's this expansion here, and then the New York already is getting sieged badly. You can see this entire zone here, they will have to drop, they have to go, and this front here will feel very, very vulnerable, and not sure if they will want to stay there for very, very long. So the entire front will just have some very, very huge collapse. And yeah, that is the current situation in the Thorax. Very, very difficult for the Ukrainians right now, and it's, again, I have to emphasize how the Ukrainians can lose this front is beyond me. This is one of the most heavily defended front. That's why New York has always been the most quiet front in all of the front line. And but somehow the Russians can penetrate straight through the defenses, the trenches. It's beyond me. I really don't understand how. So yeah, it's amazing to see how this happened, and under this kind of circumstances, it's very hard to be convinced by pro Ukrainian sides narrative that they're doing very well, or they are killing a lot of Russian troops for each of their own. It's very, very hard to get convinced, because to have this kind of breakthrough, you basically you are totally you are outfight, you're very outfought. You are overpowered by superior and massive firepower, because one single person can basically bog down entire squad of infantry. One machine gun or one assault rifle can do that. It's because the attacker wouldn't have known how many defenders are there. So one person with firepower, with fire, they can stop. But if you are suppressed heavily, then Yeah, you can't. No, you just can't. So the number superiority on the Russian side, the Russian side in this front line must be pretty hard, must be pretty severe. So at the New York front, this entire tower, Tower of Sauron, the Eye of Sauron has already fattened up into some very big. I don't even sure what shape is this, and they are expanding this entire base that they use to penetrate into New York. They won't go very far, maximum probably like this, as they then will have to storm up and basically force all these entrenchment to redraw. The I don't think they will try to go storm it, but of course the Russians may try if the defenses are really weak, because these are all the heavy defenses which is now rendered useless due to the breakthrough from Novoselivka. So the idea here is to pressure and pressure the Ukrainians to redraw, thus the strong push towards the center, rendering these defenses totally useless. Because if you lose New York, then what's the point of defending this place? There's no more point. These defenses is to defend New York, and the Russians, of course, would then continue to expand all the way close to Petronomenivka, Oleksandropil, Valentinivka, Sukabakal. So all this region here, the Russians will just expand out. So, and this is currently what we are looking at. But another thing is that why we are not. Some people say that this is nothing. This is a few hundred meters. Of course, clearly it's not. It's 1-2 kilometers at some pushes. But the reason why Russian forces can't be pushing, like how the Ukrainians have taken the Kharkiv through the Balaklia offensive, or how they have retaken the entire northern front at Sumy, Kiev, Chernihiv region. Those are never going to happen unless Ukraine or Russia basically surrenders. They basically have a mass withdrawal. They got totally routed. Then you're going to see some multi-kilometers capture. It's not going to happen because most of this front line is very dangerous. You do not know where is the snipers, do not know where is the anti-tank guided missiles, you do not know where are the mines. And then if you overtake certain positions and you didn't clear them, then you run the risk of getting shot from the back. So in such a very high intensity conflict, you don't just overtake certain positions and hope for the best. You need to have sufficient troops to do the clearing operations. So even in the New York situation where the Russian forces storm all the way to the north, they must have a lot of troops in the rear position to clear out all the houses defending the rear of the vanguard. That is the only way you can do it. But Ukraine is a huge place. It's very dangerous for the Russians to do that. Because once you overdo it, let's say they go into what they did in the beginning of the war. They storm all the way to Kiev, that kind of situation. So they storm all the way to Sumy and surround it. If they do this kind of operation, then they will get exactly what they gotten in the first month of war. A lot of attacks in the rear position, a lot of guerrilla warfare style combat, a lot of ambushes. A lot of people is going to die for nothing. So and in the end, then you will find it really hard to defend the lines. So kind of pointless. You can't really defend the rear position. Your troops is not going to be relaxed in the rear position. So we're not going to see that kind of breakthrough. So people who are talking about that, they talk it because they want to defend the Ukrainians position or their own pride, their own ego. They want to protect it. But the reality is, you are complaining about let's say this is a soccer match, a football match. You're like complaining that, they're only winning our team by 1 goal or 2 goals. So lousy. They say that they are some top team, but they are only scoring 1 to 2 goals. Like you're already losing. What do you want to you're losing. It doesn't matter how many goals. You're losing. So it's like, if the opponent is winning 5 goals to 6 goals, then you say that they're not trashing us 10-0, 12-0. They're very masochistic, masochism, whatever. No, you like to torture yourself. No, not healthy. Really, like I think the best thing is to just face the reality and actually, think from that position. Like, okay, we are now losing. What should we do? It shouldn't be, we are winning despite we are losing. No, that is a very, crazy way of thinking. So anyway, we go into the Kharkiv front. So Kharkiv front, the usual thing is happening. There's Russian fighting at Klipoke, over at Lipsy. They are fighting at Stadisia. So these are the usual thing. There is not much changes in terms of the strategic situation in the Kharkiv front. Similar situation is over at Voschansk. The return of fighting over at Taike. And then they're still fighting at Voschansk. There's some video footage coming out, I believe, from Voschansk. I saw it on the Ukrainian account. The Russian soldier, was complaining how horrible the situation is. A lot of their buddies are dead and whatnot. I think he's in the high-rise building region, but that's the reality of war. I think even the Ukrainians may post this, the pro-Ukrainian side post this kind of thing. I mean, the pro-Russian side, of course, they post similar stuff, but no, of Ukrainian soldiers. But the reality is that there's war. Even given the fire superiority, this is the problem with fighting in urban warfare. And I mentioned this a few SITREPs ago, that is the weakness, or rather not weakness, but that's the part where the Ukrainians can inflict more damage on the Russians, and which means the Russians will not be able to trade soldiers or manpower that well, because once you go into urban warfare, you don't really have that much advantage anymore. Your air superiority, artillery superiority would be severely limited. Then if you go into urban, it's going to be mostly, it's about how well your troops are fighting tactically, your personal individual training. So then, as you probably have already heard me say before, the Ukrainians sent their best troops into the Kharkiv front. So the Russians over here have the hardest job, because they are facing the best of Ukrainians and they are forced into urban warfare. So this is why the Russians is going to struggle over here. But when I say struggle, it's only relative to the rest of the fronts, where they will have to fight hard urban warfare. But the Russians still obviously still have advantage, ultimately due to the drones, lancers, artillery, airstrikes into the rear positions, which means the Ukrainians will find it much harder to support the operation at the front, and then it will just be a matter of attrition war, and see who will give up the fight, or they run out of men or run out of combat capability. That's when the battle of all these battles along the Kharkiv front will end. Over at this Kupiansk front, we also have some updates, major updates. In the northern flank, let's cover the northern half first. Russian forces attack at Sinkivka and Petropavlivka, Novoselivka, and this area is Kaislivka. So this is usual. There is some alleged development at Sinkivka reported by the Russian mapping. So not very significant for now, because it's not corroborated and then over at this Peshani Perstove region, the Russian Defense Ministry has announced the capture of Peshani on the 21st of July, and this corroborates with information coming from this area, with the Russians raising the flag. However, mapping-wise, the Russians have not fully captured the entire of Peshani, so not sure why the haste in declaring it captured. Maybe the Ukrainians have already withdrawn from all this position, despite the Russians have not fully cleared it. So that may be the reason why. Russian forces attacking at Perestove, that's a Q box, so don't expect too much from here. So, and we move into the Svatove front. Interesting information is the Russians' announcement of the capture of Andreevka. And but based on reporting, we only have the Ukrainian Defense Ministry mentioned about fighting at Andreevka. There's no indication of a Russian capture just yet. We need to wait for further information, which may already be out, but I haven't seen it yet because I haven't do the mapping for the 22nd. So that's it from here. And over at the Crimea front and the southern part of Sviatove front, Makievka, Nevsky, Terny. So that's about it. Some artillery strike in the Serbiansky forestry, just showing Ukrainians there. So not very important. There's not much update coming from the Sivers front, as because the info drop for this day is mostly about the New York front, but fighting is reported at Verkhnokanyamsky and Vimka. So that's it from here. At the Bakhmut front, we have one of these more significant changes, but strategically speaking, we are fighting reported at Krychorivka, Kalinina, Chasivia, and Andriivka. And the main update is over in the Kalinina region, where we probably have the information of how the fighting at Krychorivka is happening. Is basically Russians attacking in this direction. Russian forces pushed out of Bodanivka, which is interesting because we have no reports of fighting at Bodanivka. We always have fighting report at Kalinina, which means that the Russian mapping might actually has been accurate most of this time. So this is the current development. The Ukrainians probably is defending this forest as the main defensive line right now, protecting Krychorivka. So let's see how the Russians react to this. And there is it, before I go into the DFK front, there's an interesting geolocation which I forgot to talk about days ago. On the 17th of July, there is this geolocation appearing. It's the geolocation of a Russian Sukhoi 34 dropping a FAB 3000. And you look at where they actually dropped the bomb. This is a huge distance from the front line. It's around 40 kilometers or more than 40 kilometers. And if the target is New York, it's around 43 kilometers. And if they're targeting something in the Adivka front, it's actually 60 over kilometers. So this is the kind of distance that Russian jets currently is dropping bombs. It's no longer flying over target. It's no longer World War II style. Or even the Iraq Gulf War style of dropping bombs. These are glide bombs. They are now getting dropped 40 to 60 kilometers away from the front line. And from this area here, the plane would have RTB, return to base. So, and then the bomb will just continue to fly and hit something. I'm not sure where. So, this is the kind of situation the Ukrainians are dealing with. And to hit a plane this distance, you need high-powered air defense systems. And these high-powered air defense systems like NASAM or Patriots, S-300s are actively hunted down by Russian Lancets, which all these air defense systems can't take down. Lancets are too small and too fast or too difficult, too weird. You need the lower powered air defense system, like maybe handheld like Stingers or something to take down. And I'm not even sure if they can track this kind of target. So yeah, I just thought this is a very, very interesting geolocation, and this allow us to have a look at how ridiculous modern airstrikes are. Like you get struck and you never even hear the plane coming. So yeah, quiet death. At the FK front continued to be really, really very noisy, very busy. Kalinove, Novo Alexandrivka, Vodizenka, Lozovatsky, Progress, Voshev, and there is no frontline changes updates on the ADFK front. So I believe we're going to see some very big changes soon when the information drop. So encirclement over here, surely the Ukrainians wouldn't stay there, and also not here. Definitely these two places courting death, and maybe even in this area south of Vodizenka, the Ukrainian forces may just give up. So we're going to see some big changes, I think, in the next in my next report, at least, or the next two reports. So central flank, we have the first mention of Zalene, which means that the Russian forces has already crossed the river. They are pushing towards Zalene. Pressure continued to be at Novoselivka, Persia. So, and south of this position, yeah, let me move this up so let's not waste my drawing. So Russian forces are also pushing in the Umansky region. So that's the situation in the center flank. In the southern part, we have the Russian forces closing up Nevelsky. They are now now closer than ever before in really capturing Nevelsky. And there is some push in the Kalivka region. But there is still Ukrainian forces geolocated being struck by FPV drones. So the Ukrainians are definitely still in the region, still defending very strongly near the Isthmus, north of Kalivka. Battle of Krasnohorivka, we have already have some massive update the day before, so we're not going to have much. Georgievka, Paraskevievka, so usual stuff. So just some general stuff. Along the Voleda line, fighting at Vodian region, Prashestivka, Makari. So this is not Blahodatny. So yeah, nothing really significant around here. And over at the Zaporizhia front, we have fighting towards Novodanilivka and Robotine. But of course, not much details because, like I said, all the information drop is mainly over at the New-York front. And over at the Kherson front, we have fighting again still reported at Krinky. Very interesting. They're still fighting in the Krinky. I gotta put it in the northern area. And the Ukrainians also talk about fighting in the beachhead over at the Dnipropetrovsk region. So Russian forces probably attacking in these two areas here. Geolocation of Lancet hitting a artillery system. This is exactly what I mean. The Lancets are hunting for high value targets constantly. So clearly the Lancers are not it's not out because they are suicide weapon. They were going to have civilian drones hunting for this. Once they discovered something, the Lancet will be flew out. So it's like a missile, So yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, this is the situation report for the day of 879 for the 21st of July. So just just some important things I want to cover so that we can have a clean slate for the situation report for the next day's one, for the past 24 hours one. So thank you for watching. Sorry for the late report. I wanted to do this like 4 hours earlier, but yeah, I was burned out. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update.